Hello and welcome to another Get On With Maths video. In this Gradu8 video today you can have a look at using all four operations with numbers written in standard form. So there are 8 questions around the grid. What I want you to do now is to pause the video, have a go at the questions, and then when you're ready to go through some answers, unpause it and then I'll go through each of these. So pause the video now and have a go. Okay, hopefully if you've unpaused the video now it means you're ready to go through these. So what we'll do is we'll start up in this top corner here, okay? So we've got a number of different types of operations. We've got some multiplying, subtracts, divide and addition, all with numbers written in standard form. Now there are a couple of ways to answer these, but what I'm going to do today is try and find those shortcuts, those quick ways to answer these questions. If you want a slightly longer way, what I would recommend you do is turn each of these into ordinary numbers. If you're not sure how to do that, go back and have a look at our video on that, and then use the operation sign as you would normally. You can then convert your answer back to standard form as and when you need to. Now, multiplying standard form is really easy. So what we're going to do first of all is you're going to take your numbers that you've got and you're just going to multiply them together. So for this one, 4 times 2 is 8. Now, you'll know already that when you multiply powers, okay, so a power of 8 here and a power of 5 here, what you actually do is you just add those powers together. So this answer now is going to be 8 times 10, because remember we're writing in standard form, and then 8 and 5 is going to be 13. Hopefully you didn't fall in the trap and put 40 there, okay, it's just 10 to the 13. So that's really simple, okay? I'm going to move on to this question here now, which I think is probably one of the harder questions on the whole worksheet. So 5.12 times 10 to the power of 5, take away 1.89 times 10 to the power of 4. So you're doing a subtract, okay, so the method is slightly different. So what I want you to do first of all is when you're doing either an addition or a subtraction question, it's always best to try and get the powers to match up, okay? So unlike before where we can just do timesing and then we end up doing some addition, or when we divide the powers and we subtract, when we're adding and subtracting, these questions are a little bit more difficult. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to turn this power here into a power of 4. Okay, so I'm going to change this one over here to make it 10 to the power of 4. And by doing that, okay, what actually happens over here, this number, so this 5.12, instead is going to be 51.2. So just have a look at that quickly. Look at what I've done. Okay, so I've shifted this power down by 1, which has increased this by 10. And that makes sense, doesn't it? So 51.2 times 10 to the 4. And I'm going to keep this one the same. So take away 1.89 times 10 to the 4. Okay, now you've made the powers the same. What you can do is you can just work with this number here and this number here to find out what you need to do. So it's a subtract question, so I'm going to do 51.2 subtract 1.89. Now that gives me 49, there we go, 49.31, and it's times 10 to the power of 4. Now you'd only get a couple of marks at this stage because this number here is not written in standard form. Remember, it needs to start with either a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9. So if I started with 4, it's going to be 4.931 times 10, and then think about what's going to happen to that power now. You've shifted this down, so you need to shift this one up again. So 4.931 times 10 to the power of 5. Okay, so let's look at this question here. Okay, so it's an addition. So the rules are relatively similar to the subtract question, except obviously you're going to add them. What you might notice already though is there is a 4 here and a 4 here. So they're already in the same sort of realm. So you've got 5 and 3. We'll add those together, you get 8. And then you've got times 10 to the power of 4. Okay, so that's really simple. Right, let's look at this one down here, okay, because it's another slightly more complicated one with our takeaway. This time I've got 6.12 times 10 to the negative 3 and 1.07 times 10 to the negative 2. So what I'm going to do then, remember negative 3 is less than negative 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase this one over here. Okay, so here we go. So that's there times, and I'm going to do times 10 to the negative 2. And I'm going to take away 1.07 times 10 to the negative 2. Okay, so now I've done that, I've made it a normal subtract question. I'm going to do subtract, and I get 60.13 times 10 to the negative 2. Okay, and just like before, this is relatively silly because I've got 60.13. I need to change that, so 6.013 times 10 to the negative, and I'm going to up that to 1. Okay, lots of steps there, but just make sure as you're going through, Okay, you're shifting those powers up and down as you need, and then double check your answer. So moving on to this one over here, I've got a multiply. So remember, when you've got a multiply, you're going to do 6.12 times 7. Okay, so that gives us 43.4, and that's going to be times by 10. Now I've got a 4 here and a 9 here, and I add those together and I get 13. So that's relatively simple. Is that my final answer? It's not, because I've got 43, so I need 4.34 times 10 to the power of 14. Okay, moving down to this side over here now. Okay, so you've got to divide. So this is going to work in a similar way to the times in questions. You're going to do this number here, this 9, divided by this 3, which is obviously going to give you 3. And then you're going to do times 10 to the power of. Remember, when we do a divide, we don't divide these powers. Actually, what we do is we take them away. So 9 take away 4 is 5. That's in standard form, so that's our answer, looking absolutely fine. Okay, so let's look at this one now over here. Okay, so what we're going to do this time is I'm going to leave this first one the same. So it's going to be 5.07 times 10 to the power of 10. Add. I'm going to up this power, which means I'm going to lower this side. So I'm going to go 0.277 times 10, and remember, I've upped this now. I'm going to go up to 10. Just have a little look at that one. So it's an addition question, so I'm going to add those two together. So 5.07 add 0.277. Okay, hopefully you've got lots of work into that one, but the answer to that is 5.347. And I'm going to times that by 10. Okay, now remember, I've made these powers the same, so I can just leave them there. So 10 to the power of 10. Okay, really, really simple. This last one, we've got another multiply. So we're going to do 4 times 6 gives us 24 times 10. And this power and this power are going to add together to give us 13 again. I think we've seen those numbers already. Obviously, this isn't in standard form, so we're going to lower this one by a power of 10, which means you're going to increase this one by a power of 10. Okay guys, so that's our standard form with basic operations. Have a little look through, double check you're absolutely confident with everything, and make sure you check out some other videos in our Gradu8 series. I really do recommend converting between standard form and ordinary numbers, because it will really help with this as well. Thanks for watching, guys.